Welcome to the Zombie Story Zone, where survival is the ultimate challenge, and the undead are always just one step behind. Tonight, we take you to the breathtakingly beautiful and terrifyingly deadly paradise, Haven Resort. What begins as a luxury getaway for the world's elite quickly spirals into a fight for survival when a sinister outbreak turns the dream vacation into a living nightmare. Will our survivors escape the island ... or join the ranks of the undead? If you love gripping, edge-of-your-seat zombie thrillers, you're in the right place. Before we dive into the action, make sure to hit that like button. It really helps the channel grow. Share this story with your fellow zombie fans, and don't forget to comment below with your favorite moment from the story. We want to hear your thoughts. And if you're not already part of the Horde, smash that subscribe button and ring the notification bell so you never miss a tale of terror from the Zombie Story Zone. Trust me, left behind.
The golden rays of the setting sun painted the luxurious Paradise Haven Resort in hues of amber and crimson. Perched atop a secluded cliff overlooking the azure ocean, the resort was the epitome of opulence. Infinity pools stretched to meet the horizon, cabanas dotted the pristine beach, and the air was thick with the scent of tropical flowers. It was a haven for the world's elite, but tonight, Paradise Haven would transform into something far darker. Anna Marshall adjusted her camera lens, capturing the shimmering coastline. The 26-year-old travel vlogger had been invited to the resort as part of its grand reopening after extensive renovations. She had dreamed of visiting a place like this, but something about the atmosphere felt off. Behind her, the laughter and chatter of the resort's wealthy patrons echoed from the open-air dining terrace. Waiters moved gracefully between tables, serving delicacies to the who's who of the business and entertainment worlds. Among them were Jason Reynolds, a tech mogul known for his cold demeanor, and Victoria Santos, a famous actress whose designer dress sparkled like the stars. As Anna scanned the scene, her attention was drawn to a commotion near the service gate. Two security guards were arguing with a disheveled man in a blood-stained uniform. He looked like one of the resort staff but was frantic, his voice a desperate whisper. "I'm telling you, lock everything down," the man pleaded, his wild eyes darting to the jungle behind him. "They're coming." The guards exchanged glances before one of them pressed his radio. "We've got a situation at the East Gate. Send backup." Before reinforcements could arrive, the man convulsed violently, dropping to the ground with a guttural scream. His body twitched as dark veins spread across his neck and face. Anna instinctively started recording. Then came the sound, a bone-chilling growl that didn't seem human. The man, now twisted and unnatural, launched himself at the nearest guard, sinking his teeth into the man's throat. Screams erupted. The dining terrace descended into chaos as guests scrambled for safety. Anna ducked behind a decorative planter, her heart pounding. The bidden guard riffed on the ground as the infection spread rapidly. Jason Reynolds grabbed a chair, using it to fend off the attacker. "Everyone, inside! Now!" he bellowed, his commanding voice cutting through the panic. Anna bolted toward the main lobby, where staff were frantically sealing the glass doors. She noticed Victoria helping an elderly couple, her glamour forgotten in the face of danger. "What the hell is going on?" Anna demanded as she reached the group. "No idea," Victoria gasped, "but we need to get upstairs. There's a panic room in the penthouse suite." Jason appeared, dragging a security guard behind him. "The infected are coming from the jungle. We have to assume the whole area is compromised. If we don't barricade, we're dead." The group hurried upstairs, the screams of those left behind growing fainter but more harrowing. The penthouse was a fortress compared to the rest of the resort, with reinforced steel doors and an independent ventilation system. Jason slammed the door shut behind them and activated the lockdown. "There's food and water here," he said, his voice steady. "We can last a week, maybe two. Hopefully, help arrives before then." Anna paced nervously. "Help? This resort is miles from civilization. What if no one knows what's happening?" Jason shot her a glare. Then we make sure we survive long enough for them to find us. Victoria sat by the window, her face pale as she watched the chaos unfold below. Guests who hadn't made it inside were being chased down by figures shambling out of the jungle. The infected moved with horrifying speed, their guttural growls echoing through the night. "We need a plan," Victoria said, her voice trembling. "Staying here isn't enough. What if the infected get inside?" Jason opened a wall-mounted cabinet, revealing a stash of emergency supplies, including a satellite phone. "I'll try to contact the mainland. In the meantime, we need to fortify this place." Anna stepped forward. "I'll help, but we need to document this too. The world needs to know what happened here." Hours passed in tense silence. Jason worked the satellite phone, cursing under his breath as static crackled back at him. Anna and Victoria moved furniture to block the windows, their efforts fueled by sheer adrenaline. Then came the sound they all dreaded, a metallic screech as something heavy slammed against the penthouse door. "They're here," Jason whispered. The infected had reached the top floor. The group armed themselves with whatever they could find: kitchen knives, fire extinguishers, even a decorative spear from the wall. "Stay quiet," Jason hissed. The door shuddered again, and then the glass in the adjoining window shattered. A pale, blood-stained hand reached through, groping for the latch. Anna lunged forward, smashing the hand with a heavy lamp. The creature snarled but didn't retreat. Behind it, more figures clambered up the side of the building, their glowing eyes fixed on the room. "We're outnumbered," Victoria cried. Jason grabbed the spear and thrust it through the window, impaling the lead attacker. "Then we fight smart." "Anna, how much of this place did you film earlier?" Anna's eyes widened as she realized what he meant. "The kitchen. It's 2 floors down and has a service elevator. We can trap them there." The group made their way down the emergency staircase, every creak of the steps sending their hearts racing. Jason led the way, the spear in hand, while Anna followed with her camera slung over her shoulder. When they reached the kitchen, they found it deserted. The industrial freezers hummed quietly, oblivious to the carnage outside. "Here's the plan," Jason said. "We lure as many as we can into the freezer and lock them in. The steel walls should hold them, and if it doesn't," Victoria asked, "then we improvise," Anna volunteered to be the bait. With her camera rolling, she stepped into the hallway and shouted, "Hey, over here." The infected turned at the sound of her voice, their movements jerky but purposeful. As they charged, Anna ran back into the kitchen, her breath coming in ragged gasps. "Now!" she screamed as she darted past the freezer. Jason and Victoria slammed the heavy door shut, trapping at least a dozen creatures inside. Their snarls and growls were muffled by the thick steel. "That's one problem solved," Jason muttered. "But there are more out there." As dawn approached, the group knew they couldn't stay at the resort. The infected were relentless, and the building was no longer safe. "We take the service elevator to the basement," Jason said. "There's a maintenance tunnel that leads to the dock. If we can find a boat, we can get off this island." The plan was risky, but it was their only hope. The descent was nerve-wracking. Every sound seemed amplified, every shadow a potential threat. When they reached the basement, they found it eerily quiet. "The dock is this way," Jason whispered, leading the group through the narrow tunnel. But as they neared the exit, a loud crash echoed behind them. The infected had found their way in. "Run!" Anna shouted. They sprinted toward the dock, the snarls of the infected growing louder. When they emerged into the open air, they were met with a horrifying sight. Dozens of creatures waiting for them. "We're surrounded," Victoria cried. Jason raised his spear, ready to fight to the end. But before the infected could attack, a deafening roar filled the air. A helicopter appeared over the horizon, its spotlight cutting through the dawn. "Rescue!" Anna screamed, waving her arms. The chopper's mounted gun opened fire, mowing down the infected. A rope ladder dropped, and a voice over a megaphone shouted, "Climb aboard." The group scrambled up the ladder, their bodies aching but their spirits soaring. As the helicopter rose above the island, Anna looked down at the resort, now a smoldering ruin teeming with the undead. "We made it," she whispered, tears streaming down her face. Jason placed a hand on her shoulder. "For now. But this isn't over. Not by a long shot." Anna gripped her camera tightly. The world would know the truth about Paradise Haven. Epilogue weeks later, and as footage aired on news channels worldwide, sparking debates about the origins of the outbreak. The resort's owners denied any knowledge of the events, but whispers of secret experiments and cover-ups persisted. As Anna watched the broadcast from her small apartment, she couldn't shake the feeling that this was only the beginning. Somewhere out there, the infection was still spreading.